outs. All 3,000 came during Kershaw's 18-year career with the Dodgers. Kershaw became the 20th Major League pitcher to add the legendary milestone to his Hall of Fame resume. Kershaw will be a first-ballot Hall of Famer 5 years after he retires. The Lakers may have gotten the center they've been looking for. They signed free agent DeAndre Ayton to a 2-year contract. Ayton, the number one pick in the 2018 NBA draft, averaged 14.4 points and 10.2 rebounds last season with Portland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you. 1, 2, 3, go! I'm gonna try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style again.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me. Back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, University of Oklahoma English professor Honoree Fanon Jeffers shares her new book, which explores the journeys and possibilities of black women throughout American history. The text is called Misbehaving at the Crossroads, Essays and Writings. Gotta love that title, Misbehaving at the Crossroads, Essays and Writings. That's in our second hour. In our third hour today, two more conversations. Up first, we'll talk to Emmy Award-winning news anchor Shannon Lanier, who just happens to be the sixth great-grandson of Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings. Shannon is also an actor who has a role in the latest Tyler Perry project called Duplicity. So we'll talk to Shannon Lanier of this Jefferson Hemings reunion at the top of hour three. On the B side of hour three, Essia Dujan on her best-selling book, Washington Black, which is now an 8-part limited series on Hulu, starring and executive produced by the brilliant actor Sterling K. Brown. But in this first hour, two more conversations. On the B side of this hour, Everett B. Kelley, president of the American Federation of Government Employees, on his union's fight to protect its 800,000 members from the Trump administration's unprecedented cuts and attacks. But we commence today's show talking politics with the host of GD Politics politics. Galen Druke, formerly with the very influential 538 podcast. Before I bring Galen on the line, if you're following the news right now, then you know that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has just said not long ago that the Republicans are ready to vote on what Donald Trump calls the big beautiful bill. Democrats call it the big ugly bill. But Speaker Johnson said a little while ago, the Republicans rather, are prepared to vote as soon as Hakeem Jeffries stops talking. That's what Speaker Johnson said, as soon as the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, stops talking, we are prepared to vote. Of course, we know this bill passed the Senate days ago. Donald Trump has been squeezing Republicans to get it passed in the House. He wants to sign it on July 4th, tomorrow, Independence Day. Hakeem Jeffries now has been at the microphone on the floor for 7+ hours. You remember Cory Booker, right? Cory Booker went, 25+? Breaking the record in the Senate by Strom Thurmond of years ago. I doubt seriously if Hakeem's going to go 25 hours. But he's gone 7+ as the minority leader holding up this vote on this big ugly bill. Let's just go live to the floor of the House just for a few moments here and tap into what Hakeem Jeffries is saying right about now.
Representative Lauren Underwood from the great state of Illinois had an amendment, and I wish I could go through all of the amendments that have been introduced, but I'm going to highlight as many as I can. Representative Lauren Underwood had an amendment to ensure that people who get their insurance through the ACA, Obamacare, will not see their premiums increase. As I mentioned earlier, that as a result of this one big ugly bill, Mr. Speaker, premiums, copays, and deductibles are going to go up for millions of Americans. Many will lose coverage. And so this amendment was introduced to ensure that people who get their insurance through the ACA will not see their premiums increase this year, which is expected to cause 5 million people to lose coverage. Mr. Speaker, Republicans voted down that amendment. Representative Kelley Morrison had an amendment that strikes the defunding of Planned Parenthood, which provides access to life-saving cancer screenings and reproductive health care. Now, last year, Republicans, Mr. Speaker, promised that reproductive health care, reproductive freedom, was a state issue. President Trump promised that reproductive health care, reproductive freedom was a state issue. And yet in this bill, there's a backdoor attack on reproductive freedom.
That's the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, live on the floor of the House right now, holding up the vote on this big, ugly bill that was passed in the Senate earlier this week. As I said a moment ago, he is now 7 hours plus standing at the lectern. We will see how long he goes. I'm on the air for 3 hours. We'll see if he makes it another 3. We'll update you throughout this 3-hour program today, at least while I'm on the air live, as to how Hakeem Jeffries is holding up at the podium. Again, Cory Booker went 25 plus. Not too long ago on the floor of the Senate. Just fascinating that 2 black men have just held up all the business for as long as they could in both the Senate chamber and the House chamber. So again, we'll check in with Hakeem Jeffries throughout this program today and see again how he's faring. So there's a taste of what's happening right now in Washington as it relates to this big ugly bill. When we come forward, we'll commence this show for real with Galen Druke on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near
Coverage
you.
varies by plan. View contract and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
Do you own a 2005 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all? With the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering a low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save you thousands off costly vehicle repairs. Get your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage are included. For your free quote, call 800-689-5978. 800-689-5978.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley. That's Aaliyah with Rock the Boat, and that's exactly what the Democrats are attempting to do right now in the House, rocking the boat. As Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, is now 7 hours plus into a protracted speech, holding up the vote again on this big ugly bill that passed the Senate earlier this week. I welcome now this program Galen Druke, host of GD Politics, formerly of the influential podcast 538. Galen, good to have you on. How are you today?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing well, Tavis.
It's my pleasure, man. Good to have you on the program. Let me jump right in. What's your read? I want to get to this powerful piece, the provocative piece you wrote not long ago for the New York Times called Why Democrats Need Their Own Trump. I love the title, Why Democrats Need Their Own Trump. I'll let you unpack that in a second here. But what's your read of what's happening right now on the floor of the House?
Yeah, so I think a couple things are happening. One, this bill, the bill formerly known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, isn't popular with the American public. I spend a lot of time looking at public opinion research, and right now, in the last an average of 4 recent polls, this bill is 25 percentage points underwater. And even amongst Republicans, it only has, a favorable view, 2/3 of them. So not even all Republicans are on board with this. And so I think Democrats see this as an opportunity to really highlight the unpopularity of this bill. And in particular, I think they're going to talk a lot about cuts to Medicaid and, well, maybe not specifically cuts, but work requirements for Medicaid that will likely lead to somewhere in the range of 10 million people losing their health insurance. And then an additional, 5 to 6 million from the changes to ACA reporting requirements. And so I think they're going to seize on this opportunity as the party that is historically a lot more trusted on the issue of healthcare to highlight its unpopularity. Because look, Democrats themselves haven't been so popular lately. I mean, when you even poll, rank and file Democratic voters, what do you think of congressional Democrats? They're underwater, right? Democrats don't think the Democrats in Congress are doing a good job. And so what I think we're seeing here is Democrats seeing this as an opening on an unpopular piece of legislation to make a lot of noise. And because of how unpopular this bill is, I think they're going to keep making noise for the next 3 years about it.
Yep. Galen, you know this stuff as well as I do, better in many respects. My sense is that if the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says Republicans are ready to vote as soon as Hakeem Jeffries stops talking, if you're calling for a vote and saying you're ready to vote, to me, that suggests you must have the votes. And as you and I both know, for the last number of days, we've been looking at 8 or 9 Republicans who have expressed concerns about this bill. They can only afford to lose, 2 or 3 Republicans and get this thing passed. So again, am I right in assuming that if Johnson says they're ready to vote, that he has the votes?
I think you're right. I'm actually looking at the betting markets right now as we speak if we want any sort of numbers-based prediction. And the odds right now say there's an 80% chance that this bill gets passed on July 3rd. So by July 3rd. So that's today. I think that this is how folks play politics sometimes, incentive to get this passed during a holiday week when a lot of people are going to be focusing on friends, family, cookouts, and not necessarily tuning into the news like we are. And so I think that, and I also think that when we think back to 2017, right, Republicans failed at their attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and then it just went away. They stopped trying. This case is very different. We know that Republicans want to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, and they're not going to sort of let those expire at the end of this year. So they are going to pass some sort of reconciliation bill. We also know they want funding for border security and defense. And then there's a whole hodgepodge of different things that Trump made campaign promises on, like no tax on tips or, tax deductions for interest payments on car loans and things like that Trump also wants to get done. And so there's lots of different pieces of things that Republicans have promised that they feel like they need to deliver on. And so something is going to get passed here. The conglomeration of all of these things is a bill that, as I said, isn't particularly popular. But I think at this point, they got to just sort of hold each other's hands and jump because they feel like they need to do something. And they might as well do this because once they pass this deadline, it may get just more difficult and more dragged out as more parts of this legislation get scrutinized by the Democrats and the media.
I want to go back to your earlier point, Galen, which is a powerful point, that the polling suggests, the data suggests that Democrats are disappointed with Democrats. Put another way, that everyday Democrats across the country are disappointed in the way that Democrats are stepping up or not, leading or not in the House, in the Senate. I guess my question is, with all due respect to Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries, whether or not what these Democrats want is a bunch of speechifying, holding up votes that are sure to happen at some point anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what I think this does is it tries to marshal media attention, right? So Hakeem Jeffries is now the center of the political universe. Everyone's paying attention to what he's saying. Television shows are broadcasting what he's saying. And so he's getting his message across at a prime time when people might be tuning in. I think he also recognizes that Democratic leadership has been heavily scrutinized by Democrats themselves. I mean, Chuck Schumer in the Senate is underwater with Democrats themselves. They don't like the job he's doing. And I think Hakeem Jeffries feels as though he's got to stand up and he's got to sort of improve morale amongst Democrats. Obviously, this is only one way of doing that. I think that the same arguments that he's laying out in this 7-hour plus speech, it's just the beginning. We're going to hear those arguments from Democrats over and over and over again. From an actual mechanical perspective, this is a reconciliation bill. Democrats can't stop it, right? Because the Senate doesn't need 60 votes to pass this. Democrats cannot filibuster this. They only need a raw majority. So 51 votes in the Senate or 50 votes with a tie-breaking vote from J.D. Vance, as it was in the Senate, and a raw majority in the House. Mm-hmm. And they have that without Democrats. So this is the only kind of stuff Democrats can do other than go out and campaign and hope to win the next election.
No naivete in asking this question, but I've raised this in a variety of forms over the last few days on this program, Galen, as to why Republicans would force through a bill that is 25% underwater, given the data you shared with us earlier. And on top of that, a good number of the people that are going to be hurt by this bill are persons who live in red states. So I ask whether or not this is going to be seen ultimately as Republicans self-inflicting a pretty major wound, perhaps even a catastrophic wound. And if one believes that, then maybe Hakeem is wasting his time. Let them vote. Let it go through. Let the MAGA supporters feel the pain that they're going to feel when this thing takes place. And that might be part of the salve, part of the strategy for Democrats over the next as we make our way toward these midterm elections you referenced a moment ago, Galen.
Yeah, I think, Hakeem Jeffries well knows that he's not going to speak long enough to stop this thing until the next election.
Exactly.
And so he's trying to sort of, they'll have their cake and eat it too. They'll get to make a big fuss and message on this. And then at the end of the day, Republicans will vote and likely pass it. And then, like I said, they'll get to keep making their arguments into the future. Now, will this be a self-inflicted wound? In many ways, only time will tell. Mm-hmm. Sometimes these things get more popular as attention moves on. So I mentioned the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. That was almost as unpopular when it passed, but a year later, as the media attention and the country had moved on, it was almost split even for Americans broadly. Now, that's a pretty different thing because tax policy is not so sexy, right? Like, we aren't just going to keep talking about tax policy, especially back then when the economy was doing pretty well and Americans were frustrated about other things like healthcare or sort of Trump's behavior in office or whatever it may be. But healthcare is different. Healthcare is a more salient issue for Americans, and we see it actually rising in importance level in some of the polling. It's something that Democrats really care about, and it's an issue that historically Democrats have owned. And unlike tax policy, there's just going to be issue after issue that Democrats can pounce on and the media can focus on, like people actually losing their health care. Now, Republicans are trying to make sure that these cuts don't go into effect before the midterms. They're doing the tax cuts now so that, people have more money, but then waiting for the benefit cuts until after the midterms. I think it's probably a political decision. Mm-hmm. We'll also see if that pays off. But at a certain point, these cuts are going to get associated with the Republican Party, and it's going to hurt their, efforts to come across as this new coalition of working class voters. If the Yale Budget Lab, if we're going to really dig into the numbers here, looked at the distribution of benefits of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And they found that the bottom 20% of income earners in America, after all the taxing and spending changes, will see about $700 less a year, while the top 20% of income earners in America will get about $6,000 more dollars a year. That's not really a populist working class message.
Mm-hmm. Nope, it's not. It is not. Democrats are revolting as best they can right about now, delaying this vote in the House. In case you just tuned in, Hakeem Jeffries is at 7 hours plus, holding on to the lectern and not surrendering it so that they can vote on this bill. As I said moments ago, I assume if Speaker Johnson is calling for the vote, saying they're ready to vote once Hakeem stops talking, he must have the votes to pass it. Galen, I've got just 3 or 4 minutes left in this conversation with you. I can't wait to have you back on the program again. But let me me yield, as they say, I want to yield the balance of my time to the gentleman from GD Politics to unpack this piece in the New York Times for those who haven't had a chance to read it yet, called "Why Democrats Need Their Own Trump." The rest of these few moments belong to you, Galen Druke. Take it away, sir.
Absolutely. So I'm not saying here that Democrats need somebody who, breaks democratic norms or whatnot, but I focus on the 2016 election in particular, where the Republican Party was very unpopular at the time in a similar way to how the Democratic Party is unpopular today. And there were kind of two camps: the more moderate establishment camps of the Republicans, which is like Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush, and the more conservative types who were, say, like Ted Cruz or Scott Walker at the time, and sort of pulling the party in two different directions. And each had their sort of downsides. And usually ambitious politicians feel like they need to choose between either being the moderate or the conservative, or for the Democrats, it would be like the moderate or the progressive. And Trump came in and chose neither, or in some ways chose both. He ran to the right of his party on immigration, and he ran to the left of his party on government spending like Social Security and Medicare and infrastructure and healthcare and those kinds of things. Put aside how he governed, but that's how he ran. And I describe that this can be a successful approach for politicians to frustrate people's perceptions of them. Like, you don't want to be seen as just a caricature of an unpopular Democrat or just a caricature of an unpopular Republican. You want to kind of grab popular policies from both sides and frustrate people's perceptions of you. Because listen, today in America, both parties are unpopular. So if you can sort of place yourself outside of that divide and sort of, maybe for a Democrat, it's like, run to the right a little bit of your party on immigration, run to the left on healthcare. So, have a populist message on healthcare and hammer that home, but also talk about, say, border security, or talk about the debt and deficit and how we need to get that under control. So don't just sort of run as the Democrat that everyone expects, that caricature, but actually sort of embrace some of the other side's more popular policies.
So when I read this piece, Galen, got a couple minutes here left. When I read this piece and I listened to you now break it down as you just did, you know what this sounds like to me? Sounds like triangulation. It sounds like what Bill Clinton did. It sounds like what Bill Clinton did, moving the party to the center all those years ago. Bill Clinton is a friend, but I was no fan of triangulation. I was no fan of the party getting pushed more to the center. It worked well for Bill Clinton, so I can't argue. I can't argue your point in terms of how successful it was for him. I'm not so sure how successful it was for all the rest of us when he moved us more to the center.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that you could also look at Barack Obama as an example, right? He ran to the left against the establishment on the Iraq War and the like, but then he was actually to the right of Hillary Clinton on healthcare and even immigration. So sort of, again, not just being all one thing.
Yeah.
Now, for Bill Clinton, how you campaign and how you govern can ultimately be two different things, right? He didn't just run to the center. He ran to the left on healthcare. He was proposing a healthcare plan that was more progressive than the Affordable Care Act, right? Like, if he had passed his healthcare plan, we probably would not still be having some of these conversations.
Yep.
And he did run to the right of his party on crime and federal spending, which at the time were popular positions. I think there's a lot of consternation within the party today about the crime and welfare bills, but at the time there was quite a different view.
Yeah.
And when he got into office, he did pass the welfare and crime bills, but he did not get his healthcare bill passed.
Yep.
And I think that our perception of him as whether he's just a moderate or something more would be different if he was actually able to get that passed.
So, Galen, I'm out of time now. I tell you, I'm saying this now out loud so my producers can hear me. I want to have you back on the program. I want to just have another half hour or so just talking about triangulation and moving the party to the center. I'm fascinated by, again, the frame that you put forth in this piece. I want to spend some more time on it. If we can do that in the future, my producers will give me the thumbs up. They'll call you, Galen. There's more I want to unpack on this, but thank you for your time today. I appreciate you, sir.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Good to have you on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is marking the closure of the Roosevelt Hotel Migrant Intake Center.
237,000 migrants and asylum seekers went through our system. Roosevelt Hotel was a symbol of that.
Adams called the city's response one of our most important chapters. Former Vice President Kamala Harris leads a hypothetical 2026 California governor race with 24% support, according to new UC polling. While Harris weighs a run, 40% of voters say they're still undecided on who should replace Governor Gavin Newsom. And Detroit City Council in Michigan has granted historic status to the former home of Rosa and Raymond Parks. The couple lived there from 1961 to 1988. The designation protects the house from demolition or major exterior changes without city approval. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get 60% off, free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There were two special moments at Dodger Stadium last night when the Dodgers played the Chicago White Sox. Freddie Freeman delivered a game-winning single in the bottom of the ninth inning to cap a 3-run rally and give the Dodgers a 5-4 win. In the sixth inning, Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw struck out White Sox third baseman Vinny Capra to reach 3,000 strikeouts. All 3,000 came during Kershaw's 18-year career with the Dodgers. Kershaw became the 20th Major League pitcher to add the legendary milestone to his Hall of Fame resume. Kershaw will be a first ballot Hall of Famer 5 years after he retires. The Lakers may have gotten the center they've been looking for. They signed free agent DeAndre Ayton to a 2-year contract. Ayton, the number one pick in the 2018 NBA draft, averaged 14.4 points and 10.2 rebounds last season with Portland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
That's how I feel, working day and night, and I can't wait to have tomorrow off, July the 4th. Speaking of working day and night, that's exactly what Hakeem Jeffries is doing right now on the floor of the House. He's still going, pushing toward 8 hours. Hakeem Jeffries still working day and night on the floor, refusing to yield the lectern. So Republicans can vote on this big ugly bill, as it were. We're keeping track of Hakeem. I'm in the studio watching him on camera. He's still going, and we'll keep tracking him all 3 hours of this program today. Speaking of working day and night, I'm pleased to have right now on this program Everett B. Kelley, president of the American Federation of Government Employees, on his union's fight to protect its 800,000 members from the Trump administration's unprecedented cuts and attacks. Everett B. Kelley, good to have you on. How are you today, sir?
I'm having a great day. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you, and I'm glad you're having a great day. Let me just start with this. We've been obviously following this since Trump was inaugurated, and Elon Musk as his co-president, at least for a while, and all the damage they were doing in terms of just running people out of all kinds of government departments. Before I talk specifically about the fight back, just tell me where we stand. Put me in the proper frame for what has happened, what is happening in real time with government employees, particularly those, of course, who belong to your union.
Well, thank you, Tavis, for that question. First of all, we've been under unprecedented attack from this administration. Representing 820,000 federal employees. They have been stripped of their union rights. Some of them have been taken out of bargaining units. Some of them have been dealing with firing for no apparent reason, threats of rifts or reduction in force, or just these types of things, just unprecedented attack. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've been servicing federal employees for over 90 years, dealing with every president that has been in existence for 90 years, and we've never experienced these type of attacks.
Yep. Are the attacks more robust, more aggressive on certain departments, on certain agencies?
Well, when you look at, it's just been across the board, to be honest with you. But right. We're dealing with the threat of 83,000 jobs being rifted or they call it RIF, which is reduction in force, in the Department of Veterans Administration. You look at the Department of Education, they're talking about rifting over half of that workforce of, about 2,000. They're talking about rifting half of those. Just across the board, you look at the Department of Defense, you're talking about just across the board. They're trying to dismantle the entire federal workforce. That's an issue because not only, will it affect the livelihoods of those employees, it affects the services that these employees render to the American people.
Yeah.
Such as, if I might,
please,
such as the care for veterans, such as, safe food for Americans, because it is those employees that work in the Department of Food Administration that provide healthy food, healthy air. When you talk about EPA, so it's just an array of attacks.
What agency, what power does the union really have to fight back? And I'm asking that because it seems that in so many ways, and I could do this, I could make this point on so many different fronts. But Donald Trump and again, when Musk was there, Musk is no longer there. But Donald Trump and his cohort, they seem to be running roughshod over the American people, specifically the American government workforce. What agency, what power does the union have to really fight back?
Well, we have the power of the courts, which we have been using extensively. We have the power of public opinion, because what we've been doing is filing grievances. We've been filing lawsuits, but at the same time, we have the power of the people, right? To really educate the people on the issues that they are facing and getting them involved in, dealing with these situations. Because as you know, we've been doing a lot of rallies, across the board, hands off of our VA, hands off of our Social Security, all of these types of things that we're doing that educate the public. And the public then gets involved because you're talking about disrupting the services that the public depend upon.
Yeah. What can you tell me, Everett, about the impact that these that this downsizing, for lack of better words, this rifting, to use your term, what can you tell me about the impact it's having specifically on African Americans and their families?
Well, and that's a good job. I mean, good comment, because as you know, born in Alabama myself, raised in Alabama, and I understand you were born in small town in Indiana. We understand the effects of a good government job, right? I'm a product of a good government job. That's the only way I was able to get into the middle class. We have always in the Black community depended on the opportunity that has been afforded us through the government and government jobs. And when you start rifting and dismantling those services, then it's going to disproportionately affect those communities, especially the African American community, where we have about 18% of the African American population in these government jobs, versus about 12% in the private sector. So you can see that the majority of the workforce in the Black communities in the federal government, when you look at the good government jobs. And when you start dismantling these jobs, then that's exactly what it does. It affects the African American community.
Yep. Our guest right now is Everett B. Kelley, president of the American Federation of Government Employees. Just so he knows, I'm in solidarity with him. I was actually raised in Indiana, but I'm born down south right next to you. You're from Alabama. I'm born in Mississippi, so I just thought I'd put that out and give some love to the SIP. So again, I'm raised in Indiana, but I'm born down south, just like you, Everett B. Kelley. We'll continue our conversation when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. I do not consider myself a fan of Sean Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Love, Brother Love Combs. But one doesn't have to be a fan to acknowledge a simple truth about his recent jury trial. I think the primary reason he was acquitted of those sex trafficking and RICO charges is because he was overcharged in the first place. Mine is not to opine on his guilt or innocence on any of the charges the feds brought against him. But I predicted months ago that he would beat the most serious charges because, as usual, prosecutors have a really bad habit of overcharging black men. Dave Chappelle said it best, Puffy is in a RICO case all by himself, man. Hilarious and arresting at the same time. When prosecutors put a target on the backs of black men, they throw everything at them just to see what sticks. And too often, just like in the Puffy case at the very end, they move to dismiss some of the charges and then double down on the ones they think they can win. It's racist and it's wrong, and somebody ought to say so. I think I just did. Not for the benefit of Puffy, but on behalf of all the other black men who have been and sadly will be woefully overcharged in the future. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed with Everett B. Kelley, who's president of the American Federation of Government Employees. I asked Everett moments ago what he could tell us about the impact that these attacks on federal workers by the Trump administration are having specifically on black people. I was preparing for this conversation last night and doing some reading, and I came across this last night, which fascinated me. I'm sure Everett knows this. I'm not sure everybody listening to me right now across the country knows this, but a recent study by UC Berkeley's Labor Center found, listen to this, study found that black workers in the public sector, those government black workers, earn roughly 25% more than their private sector counterparts. We think of the private sector as being the space where all the money is, not for black folk. Again, this study by UC Berkeley's Labor Center finds that black workers in the public sector earn roughly 25% more than their private sector counterparts. That was arresting for me, Everett.
Yes, it is a very startling fact. And the point is that Donald Trump knew this, and he intended from day one to dismantle and undermine the federal workforce. And we must be clear that this is, what this is going to do directly in attacking the stabilizing and the power of the black middle class. Mm-hmm. We cannot, under no circumstance, look away and downplay what he's doing.
Yep, there is some bit of good news over the last few days. Number one, a judge did in fact rule that Trump cannot eliminate federal workers union bargaining. That's good news, is it not, Everett?
That is good news. But we know that, his intent was to retaliate against us because we are the union that's been standing up against him. We are the one that's been calling him out. And the ruling from the judge is clear, and everyone need to be paying attention. President Trump revoked our union rights in retaliation for our advocacy on behalf of the federal workers and the American people. And that's how he does business, and people cannot look away.
The other bit of good news is that we're talking about this big ugly bill, as Democrats call it. Hakeem Jeffries, I'm looking at him right now, still going live, holding that lectern, pushing 8 hours now on the floor of the House, holding up this vote on the big ugly bill, again, as Democrats call it. But the Senate bill, which passed days ago, that the Republicans are trying to vote on, the minute Hakeem Jeffries stops talking, the Senate bill at least struck from the bill the targeting of federal workers' benefits. So there were provisions in that bill initially that were targeting the benefits of these federal workers in that particular Senate package, but they struck that piece. That was some good news as well, I think, Everett.
That was very good news for us. However, the bill as a whole is detrimental to Americans, and especially Black Americans. So we are grateful for that. That was good news for us, but the bill itself is just not right for Americans.
Yeah, speaking of which, when we come forward in our remaining moments with Everett B. Kelley, Everett authored a piece recently called The Big Beautiful Bill, which secretly dismantles civil service. He sort of referenced that in this conversation, but I want to give him a chance when we come forward to go inside of his piece. For those who haven't had a chance to read it and explain the arguments he's making in this piece, once again titled The Big Beautiful Bill, which secretly dismantles civil service. We'll let Everett unpack that for us when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
LA County's Justice Care and Opportunities Department, also known as JCOD, is changing the justice system for Angelenos. If you or someone you love has recently been arrested, come home from jail or prison, or has been justice involved, JCOD can help. We offer access to housing, employment, court reminders, clothing, education, and more. At JCOD, we believe your life should not be defined by your worst moment, and everyone deserves a second chance. JCOD's Justice Connect Support Center is open 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Call us at 833-LAC-JCOD. That's 833-522-5263, or visit us at jcod.lacounty.gov. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube at LAC JCOD. All services are free and confidential. JCOD serves the justice-impacted population all across LA County. Your future isn't behind you, it's waiting. Reach out by calling 833-LAC-JCOD. That's 833-522-5263, or visit jcod.lacounty.gov.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Everett B. Kelley, who is the national president of the American Federation of Government Employees, which is the largest union representing federal and D.C. government employees. A few minutes left with him in this hour. So, Everett, as we see Hakeem Jeffrey still again holding forth on the floor in the well of the House, debating this big ugly bill, as Democrats call it. This bill would secretly dismantle civil service, you argue. Tell me more.
Yes, and thank you for that question, because the very intent was to dismantle the civil service as we know it. We in 1978, there was the Civil Service Reform Act, that gave rights to federal employees to bargain collectively, to have rights in the workforce. And this bill was intended to completely dismantle that, do away with that. So, even to the point that it had, if you wanted to be an employee that had rights, you had to pay for it. You had to pay 10%, even to be a member and to collect dues from the workforce. The workforce would have to pay 10%, toward their dues. It would also say that if you wanted rights, you have to pay for those rights. This is completely un-American. It was intended directly to dismantle the federal workforce union, and we stood up against it. We called on Congress, and the Senate to do away with it. So far, those pieces have been eliminated, but the intent is inhumane. Yeah. It's inhumane. It is not American whatsoever. So we're very grateful that those pieces were taken out. But again, I cannot stress the importance of us, the American people, standing together, standing against all of these attacks against Americans and against their workforce. Yep. It is unheard of, the attacks, that this administration is putting on, the American people and their union. It is so devastating to our members, to know that every day they get up and they go to work, and they proudly go to work and they work for the American people. They take an oath to make sure that they carry out their requirements, but they are devastated every single day with this administration. And we are going to continue to fight. We will fight. We will fight to the last, because these people are patriotic people that believe in working for America.
What's happening? I got about a minute here left. What's happening to these black folk who are, in fact, being fired, being pink slipped, being rifted out of their jobs?
It is absolutely inhumane again. When you start talking about, people that work in DEI areas, this administration has been directly against anybody. They think that DEI has something to do with affirmative action. It has nothing to do with affirmative action. But these people are being pink-slipped. They are being terminated from their positions for no apparent reason whatsoever, simply because, in many instances, because they are black. And that is absolutely not right. And we are going to continue to fight, Tavis. We're going to continue to stand up, and we're going to fight every effort against this administration that they take toward this workforce. That's what we do. That's what we have to do, and we will do it. To the best of our ability, we will fight and we will win, because we are winning. Yeah. The judges see what's going on. The American people see what's going on, and we have to continue to stand and fight, collectively in order to overcome these issues that we're dealing with.
No, when we fight, we win, but we have to fight, though. Everett Kelley is fighting as the national president of the American Federation of Government Employees. Everett, good to have you on. All the best to you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is marking the closure of the Roosevelt Hotel Migrant Intake Center.
237,000 migrants and asylum seekers went through our system. Roosevelt Hotel was a symbol of that.
Adams called the city's response one of our most important chapters. Former Vice President Kamala Harris leads a hypothetical 2026 California governor race with 24% support, according to new UC polling. While Harris weighs a run, 40% of voters say they're still undecided on who should replace Governor Gavin Newsom. And Detroit City Council in Michigan has granted historic status to the former home of Rosa and Raymond Parks. The couple lived there from 1961 to 1988. The designation protects the house from demolition or major exterior changes without city approval. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Rapid radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies, offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off, free UPS shipping, and add code radio for an extra 5% off.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There were two special moments at Dodger Stadium last night when the Dodgers played the Chicago White Sox. Freddie Freeman delivered a game-winning single in the bottom of the ninth inning to cap a 3-run rally and give the Dodgers a 5-4 win. In the sixth inning, Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw struck out White Sox third baseman Vinny Capra to reach 3,000 strikeouts. All 3,000 came during Kershaw's 18-year career with the Dodgers. Kershaw became the 20th Major League pitcher to add the legendary milestone to his Hall of Fame resume. Kershaw will be a first-ballot Hall of Famer 5 years after he retires. The Lakers may have gotten the center they've been looking for. They signed free agent DeAndre Ayton to a 2-year contract. Ayton, the number one pick in the 2018 NBA draft, averaged 14.4 points and 10.2 rebounds last season with Portland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley here on KBLA Talk